Somebody is about to flip their commitment.
You are Locked On Trojans, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Holkin, and thank you for making Locked On USC part of the Locked On Network, your first listen every day. Whether you're watching the show on YouTube, wherever you are downloading your podcast, this show's free, and the show always appreciates your support. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege to download for $20 off your first purchase. Terms will apply. So yeah, it's about to happen. USC is going to get a commitment from somebody who's going to flip after they decommitted today. This player is from an SEC school. He's going to flip to USC. And I actually brought up this name, Carde Smith, on the show almost 2 weeks ago. Offensive lineman. But every one of my everydayers who listened to Monday's episode of Locked On USC this week, you heard me say the following. Here are the guys who stuck with their commitment to visit USC. USC just finished this past, well, not just. Last weekend was their last official visit weekend of June. So here are the guys who stuck with their commitment to visit USC. Elijah Griffin, Jared Smith, Marco Jones, Trojan Odom, Tristan Castro, DeJuan Morris, Harry Dalton, Philip Bell, Malachi Goodman, D. Reddick, Carde Smith, and Gus Cordova. Two of those last three names, Carde Smith, D. Reddick, Kadarius, those guys were late add-ons, additions to the final official visit weekend. But they wanted to come out there. USC pressed them to come out there. And it paid off for good reason. I specifically said this about the offensive line commit to Auburn at the time, Carde Smith. He's 6'6", 300 pounds. I said, in fact, I'll read it verbatim. I mentioned that he could be a guy that Coach Henson could flip on the visit. I have a sneaky feeling Henson's been putting in the work, but the results just aren't public yet. Well, guess who publicly decommitted from Auburn? Carde Smith. He put out a message on X. Dear Auburn Nation, after days of deep thought and prayer, I've decided to decommit from Auburn University. This was a very hard decision for me and my family. I would like to thank the entire Auburn coaching staff for their time, effort, and energy that they put into recruiting me. Please respect my decision. End quote. So, guess who the two programs that believe Carde's going to choose between? Okay. It's down to two. It's really not down to two. It's really down to one. So you had Mississippi State, who, by the way, he canceled his official visit to go see the Bulldogs to show up at USC's official visit. Interesting, right? And obviously USC. So just connect the dots, right? He was committed to Auburn. He came out to USC for an official visit, had a really good time, decommitted, and now we're just kind of waiting. He was originally committed. He committed to Auburn back in April. And then he actually decided, you know what? I'm not even going to take an official visit to Florida State or Mississippi State. Well, we'll see what happens now that he's decommitted. It's a dead period. He can't do anything for the next, 26, 27 days, whatever the number is. Look, I'm pretty sure Juju and Carde were on the same official visit trip to Auburn. Just saying. Coincidence that Juju might have been scoping out another offensive lineman for his class? Just not Auburn's class. After Smith took his official visit to USC, this is what he said. The visit showed me some different things that made USC a real hard push for me to be here. I'll definitely be back for a game in the fall. Once the decommitment went public, the predictions for USC just started to roll in. I mean, hand over fist. It was like, if you were hearing a slot machine going off in Vegas. It was just ding, 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 but it was all USC. WeRSC.com's recruiting guru, Scott Schrader, said this. There's not another announcement date or anything set, but we may hear from Smith again before the season begins, perhaps much sooner than that, end quote. When Scott drops little nuggets like that, you're probably going to hear something sooner than later. Probably before he comes back for another game. So again, I mentioned it. It's the dead period. It's in effect right now. So Carde Smith can't go, trip over to Tallahassee and check out, Florida State. But I anticipate Florida State's going to keep pushing for one. Mississippi State, I don't know. I mean, again, he canceled his OV to Starkville to come to USC. Maybe Mississippi State doesn't mind trying again. You have to in recruiting, right? But look, this is why my Locked On USC subscribers are subscribed and why they listen every day. Why you should be too. So if you're not, become a subscriber. If you're watching on YouTube, click the red subscribe button. It's really easy. So again, I will keep you updated. You'll know about it before it happens. Like I said, I mentioned his name a couple weeks ago. And then last week you had Elite 11. And I was like, all right, you know what? Possibility could be a flip coming. Guess what happened? He decommitted from Auburn. Starting to feel really confident with my source on this one. By the way, I spoke to one of my Auburn sources. The response was gut punch. Well, here's another gut punch for them. Not only is USC probably anticipating a commitment from a flip somewhere else, they got a commitment. Probably should have led with this, but you know what? I wanted to save the best for the last part of this first segment. Carrollton, Georgia. That city, that high school sound familiar? Home of Juju Lewis. Well, they have a cornerback. His name is Shamar Arnoux. He's going to be joining his high school teammate, Julian Lewis, in LA. Yeah. Arnoux announced his commitment to USC on Wednesday. He was previously committed to Tennessee, but he took a step back in February. And then he took an official visit to Auburn and to Florida State and to USC. After his official visit to USC, and he decided, you know what, that's where I need to be. This is why he chose USC. This was more than just a 3 to 4 year decision. This was a life after football decision. And I feel like I have a lot to offer USC as a football player. And this is what he told On3's Chad Simmons. And I know what being a part of the USC family can do for me when football is over. And then he gave one of these. So he's right. The Trojan family, the network, really strong. So if if you're an aggressive person and you want something, there's people out there that will help you out. Just show the initiative. Well, Arnoux is showing the initiative. He wants to be at USC. Who is he? Well, he's almost 6'2". He's still growing, just under. He's 175 pounds. And USC fans, even though he's only a finger quotes 3-star, don't look at him that way. He was considered a really a big time prospect coming off of his sophomore year in high school. And then last year as a junior, he missed most of the season with an injury. Since his injury, he's rehabbed. He is now transferred from that high school to Carrollton, and he's going to be playing his senior year with Juju. So after he decommitted from Tennessee, he was like, you know what? I need to get out there, show that I'm healthy again, get some more interest generated. Well, he started to hit the whole spring camp circuit, 7-on-7 stuff. Boom, he went big time again. All of a sudden, you had programs like Arkansas and Auburn and Florida State and LSU and Michigan, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, obviously USC, Colorado, Ohio State, they're getting involved. Georgia is getting involved. In fact, Georgia didn't even get involved till May, and he's from Georgia. USC was actually late to the party. He might have been the last to the party. In fact, according to this, USC didn't even offer him until June 16th. Guess what? He was on USC's campus, a day later, 2 days later for an official visit? Now he's committed. So you had that visit. And when you have Coach D'Anton Lynn and Doug Belk and Taylor Mays, that's probably enough to lock up a commitment. Here's the thing. If Arnoux continues to regain all the skeptics, all their confidence back, showing, hey, look, this is what I look like now in a real game during my senior year, he's going to get re-ranked. So for all of you star lovers out there, he's just a 3-star. You heard the programs that are chasing him, right? Including Georgia, the home school, Ohio State. They tend to do pretty good with defensive back evaluations. He's now a Trojan. I'll just close out the segment with this. Look, earlier this month, USC was number 3 nationally with their recruiting class, according to the On3 network. We know, look, we took a punch to the gut. We lost Isaiah Gibson. He flipped to Georgia. Took a second punch to the gut, almost like a liver shot, rocked us, put us to our knee. Justice Terry, he's probably going to join Isaiah Gibson, join that Georgia class. So USC dropped from number 3. They are now considered the 12th. They have the 12th best class in the country. And we're not even done with the month of June yet. So everyone, relax. Take a deep breath. Because when Carde Smith makes his flip to USC official, maybe they're going to jump right back into the top 10. I have no idea if USC is going to get another commitment before the 4th of July. However, that big mammoth offensive lineman that I've been telling you about, Elijah Vicona from Rancho Santa Margarita Catholic High School, he's going to let everybody know his intentions on July 2nd. He's choosing between USC, Washington, and UCLA. So by July 4th, USC might have the top 10 class again. And they'll make that slow climb back to the top. If you care about that type of stuff. Sure, a lot of you, like me, spent some time growing up, going to Major League Baseball, checking them out. I was a Dodger fan. And I was going to the Dodger Stadium before you saw all that corporate logo stuff up over the walls. And that's what made going to the games really expensive. But you don't have to pay anymore. You don't have to pay big ticket prices, because with killer last minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and the best price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. You can see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. You have all-in prices. That way, it's going to show your total upfront. That way, you know you're getting a great deal before you check out. And it takes you 2 taps. You'll buy your tickets in seconds. You'll be done. Trojan fans, did you get your tickets for Las Vegas yet? USC versus LSU? It's 60+ days away. Stop waiting. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event, and even an hour after it starts. It's the place to find last-minute seats. And the Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same row and section for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. I know. I was watching ESPN. I had Fox Sports on all day and all day long. I had to keep hitting that mute button because someone was yelling. You know what? You don't have to do that anymore. Just make the switch to Locked On Sports today. It's a free 24/7 sports streaming channel, and it's programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news, and it's streaming for you 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. More Miller Moss or more defense early in the season? Everyone's saying both, please. Of course. That's the easy answer. Well, we need to make a decision here because even though USC fans know they have a new defensive coordinator, they also know that there's no way for USC's defense to look any worse than it did in 2023. But what they have to wait for is they have to see how quickly that defense comes out of the gate. Like I said, we're 60 plus days away from USC versus LSU in Las Vegas. What's interesting about this matchup, and I've mentioned it before, and I'll mention it again before we get to the game, neither team played a lick of defense last year. They both sucked. USC just sucked a little bit more. Both are breaking in new defensive coordinators, and both are breaking in new schemes. However, for some reason, LSU is just getting a little bit more benefit of the doubt that their fix on that side of the ball will have more success than USC. Fine, whatever. You know what? Let that cloud linger over Lincoln Riley's head. Excuse me for a minute. Oh, something stuck in my throat. So, I think everybody anticipates this is going to be a high-scoring game. I mean, our friends over at FanDuel, they've set the over-under for this game right now in June, 62.5. They anticipate a high-scoring game. So defense is going to be at a premium. Everybody's going to want some, a little bit, just enough. I'm curious to see how this plays out because, again, no one knows what to expect when each side is playing defense. I don't think anybody knows what to expect. USC is going to look different. They're going to, both schematically as well as physically. That was one of the first things Coach Danton Lynn talked about when he took over the job, when he took over the defensive coordinator job at USC. In fact, when he was asked about the biggest need on USC's defense, this is what he said. This was back in December. When he was asked, he said it was the size up front, especially going into the Big Ten. I played the Big Ten. The Big Ten is big bodies on the offensive and defensive line. That's something we need to get bigger up front. Okay. So we know, because I've been telling you about it throughout the offseason, heading into spring, the size of these guys. That was a major emphasis. Benny Wiley was told, all right, we're not using Grinch's scheme anymore. Get these guys bigger. He said, all right, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. Well, if you check out any of USC's social media, these dudes are getting bigger. They look like USC players again. What we're more accustomed to, at least. So, yeah, we need USC's defense to look different than last year, look better. What we don't need is for Miller Moss to look different. I want Miller to look exactly like he did in the Holiday Bowl, if not better. Because until USC's defense gets cranking, look, early on in the season, Miller and the offense, they're going to be the engine that makes USC go home a winner. I'm not saying that the game rests on his throwing arm, but Miller, look, game one, I'll say for the first 3, 4, 5 games, he can't have a day off. He can't have an off day. Now, if USC's running the ball like they used to back in the day, and when I say back in the day, let's just go back to the Pete Carroll era. We won't go back too far. Or, you know what, even better. Let's say they're pulling a Michigan, and they just say, you know what, we're not even going to throw the ball. We're just going to stop the run. Penn State. If USC can have that type of physical success up front, I'm cool with that. Way cool with that. Miller's first start in college, happened in the bowl game. It wasn't his only game action, but that was his first start in college. That was his tryout with everybody looking. And you know what? The moment wasn't too big. Now he's got some street cred. My man, J.D. Piquel, make sure you're checking him out on occasion, as often as possible on the Hard Count. Great show. He kind of implied. He didn't imply. He actually straight out said it. If Caleb wasn't on USC's team in 2023, USC's probably not even a bowl team. That's how bad USC's defense was. So if Superman is just a 7-win quarterback with a crappy defense, I mean, as much as it sucks to hear it, it was. JD's probably right. USC probably barely squeaks into the bowl game. Maybe 6 wins. And look what they had to do just to beat Cal. Brr. I have every confidence that Coach D'Anton Lynn is going to have the guys ready to play and that they're going to look like a college defense. I'm not talking about Georgia's defense. I'm talking about a competent college defense. Like the school's defense that he used to coach at. That was pretty good defense by the end of the year, by the way. But look, until they're a defense with some, material to throw on their resume, Miller needs to be able to, lead the offense to score at least 35 plus points per game. And they're going to do that anyways. I mean, Lincoln Riley's offense, nobody's questioning that. He knows how to squeeze the most out of his quarterbacks, whomever standing under center or back of center. Nobody gets under center anymore. Look, in a perfect world, both the defense and offense look like USC 2003 when they beat Auburn 23-0. I would take that. If that happens, you know who's going to be really, really mad? And I'm going to talk about that in the next segment. You can see that on the rundown because they're already bad. But if USC beats LSU in that type of fashion, I know a certain group of fans in the Panhandle region, Oklahoma, they're going to be big mad. Everything I do for a reason, right? Cat's out of the bag. Dropping a little hint. Sometimes my motives are they're obvious. Other times, I might have an ulterior motive. Sometimes both worlds collide, like the other day. I knew Oklahoma fans were pursing their lips, furrowing their eyebrows into one eyebrow, turning it into a unibrow. And this was coming on the heels of Coach Lincoln Riley, his interview where he talked about the state of the program, national interview. It's making all the rounds, all the headlines. I broke it down on yesterday's episode of Locked On USC. And the reason why I decided to take a shot across Oklahoma fans' bow is I knew some good recruiting news was on the way for USC, right? So I sent a message out on X that said, Oklahoma fans are upset because Lincoln Riley gets national attention. Meanwhile, Brent Venables sits by the phone, hoping someone will invite him to the dance. I mean, think about it. USC's coming off not the greatest week, losing a couple 5 stars. Yet, here's Lincoln Riley out there answering questions. Taking it all. Not afraid. But like moths to a flame. Sooner fan went boomer sooner in their pan. Yep, they made a mess. Go check out my X timeline. I mean, the responses that came in, they were anticipated. I knew what I was doing. Oh yeah, but Coach BV, Brent Venables, he's kicking Riley's butt in recruiting. Well, not really. See, around USC, getting beat 55-19 when you're the defensive coordinator, that's a butt kicking. Yeah, Brent Venables was the defensive coordinator for Bob Stoops when USC beat Oklahoma in the national championship game in Florida in the Orange Bowl, 55-19. Just a reminder, that's a butt kicking. And yeah, Oklahoma, you are leading in verbal commits in June. You've got the 10th ranked class. USC has the 12th ranked class. But no, we call that a halftime score when you're leading by 2. It's not a butt kicking. Sorry. You're going to have to rewrite your definition. Look, I come from a background in sales. And there are times when you really need to lay it on thick, get everyone's attention, make sure their eyes are on you. So again, even after losing a couple of 5 stars, by the way, just a reminder, Oklahoma fan, USC still has one more 5-star than you do. How's that feel? USC loses 2 and they still have another one, which is one more than you. Here's what Okie fan does not want to admit. Coach Riley took a butt kicking last season. He was humble. He doesn't want that again. And he's fixing the defense. As I mentioned in the previous segment, no one's going to question Coach Riley's offense. If you're questioning his offense, you check yourself because you're not right in the head. You can ask him questions about the offense, but don't question it being productive. But now Oklahoma fan is like they're making white knuckle fists. I guess it pursing their lips, purr on their brow. Because if Lincoln Riley's offense is paired up with a defense, a good defense, a competent defense, a top 50 defense, that's going to make Oklahoma fan even more jealous than they already are. So what am I doing? I'm getting their haterade started with a low boil. Put them on simmer. Because when USC from the big conference beats LSU from the SEC conference, home of Oklahoma, Oklahoma fans' chance to, clap SEC football. You know how they do that, how they all support each other. They're going to have to put that on hold for a week. My favorite part about me sending out that blast is when Sooner fan responds with the, "We don't care, but I have to tell you that we don't care." Thanks for letting me know you don't care. Appreciate it. Oklahoma fans are good for a chuckle. And I'm telling you, they are going to be big mad when they see Coach Riley's team playing defense in 2024. And if there is a God, and there is, I want both of these teams in the playoffs, and I want them playing each other. So we can settle the score. Lincoln Riley's offense versus Brent Venables' defense. I know which way I'm leaning because I've seen what USC can do to a Brent Venables defense. I can see that again. I know I would. All right. That's it for this episode of Locked On USC. I'll be back again tomorrow with another one. I'll have my Friday rant. In fact, I've already got my topic for that. And I'll have some recruiting news. I'll have some team news. So until then, everyone, you know what to do.